I'm a big YouTuber.
Salute to Crowned TV Courts on YouTube.
Check out my homie Prince, you know what I'm saying? They cover all high-profile court cases on behalf of the people.
Great execution with regards to legal parameters, documents.
I literally cover court cases for a living. I cover the court cases for a living.
A big intro for a big show. I want to thank each and every last one of y'all for helping me get to 20K. Without y'all, I would just be sitting here talking law to myself. So I greatly appreciate every last one of y'all for the support that y'all have shown this channel. Shout out to Nana for the Cash App. I did not forget about you. And shout out to Styles P. And shout out to Star Brim. That's a huge shout out from a legend. All right, y'all, we getting straight to this thing today. Big document, a lot of information in it. I told y'all that as these defendants go up for these bail hearings, the prosecution is going to submit these motions of opposition and reveal evidence. And evidence against one is evidence against all. This is a racketeering case. Let's not forget that. And this particular person, Jerlaine Little, that we're talking about today, is closely connected to Star Brim's case. So it's information in here that I know a lot of people are going to be interested in. We're getting straight to it. It says the government respectfully writes in opposition to the request for bail by the defendant Jerlaine Little, aka Noni. Now at the bottom of that paragraph, it goes on to say that she is a significant danger to the community as well as a risk of flight, and she should remain detained pending trial. Now it says, as set forth in the February 18th letter, for those of y'all who don't know, that's the first video that we did on this case. Go back and check it out if you need to be informed. It says the defendant was the highest ranking female member of the 5'9 Brims, holding the rank of godmother until the defendant was kicked out of the gang in July 2019 and became a high-ranking member of another blood set. Little is charged in counts 1, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21 of the indictment and faces a mandatory minimum sentence of 29 years imprisonment should she decide to proceed to trial. As detailed below, the government has developed a substantial amount of evidence of Little's participation in acts of violence and drug dealing for the gang, as well as her possession and use of firearms, and the government submits she should remain detained pending trial. Now, if you've been paying attention, a lot of antennas probably raised in that paragraph. I'm not here to talk about the story of the gang. I gotta leave y'all something to talk about in the comments anyway. Acts of violence committed by Little. As part of its investigation into the 5'9 Brims, the government obtained a search warrant for the Facebook account used by Little. This is back to the gangster group chats. Over the course of several years, Little has extensively used the Little Facebook account to communicate with members of the gang about gang activities, including past and planned acts of violence. Based on the government's investigation to date, it appears that Little orchestrated dozens of robberies like the December 6, 2018 and the November 29th, 2018 robberies, charged in counts 16 and 18 over the course of approximately 2 months in late 2018. The robberies follow a similar pattern. Little would post ads to a social media website offering sex for several $100s. When the intended victim arrived to Little's apartment building, members of the gang would be waiting to rob the victims at gunpoint of their cash, jewelry, and other items. Little would often send screenshots of the conversations that she was having through Facebook Messenger with intended victims to let the other gang members know when the intended victims would be arriving. For example, during the November 29, 2018 robbery, Little and others participated in a group chat discussing the robbery, including some of the proceeds from the robbery. Indeed, the day after the robbery, members of the gang used Facebook Messenger to discuss an expensive vest that they stole from the victim of the November 29th robbery. Similarly, on December 3rd, 2018, Little exchanged messages with another member of the gang who told Little that whenever Little saw this, "I'm upstairs. I need the HG and I'm trying to do sunstrokes. Based on the government's investigation into the 5'9" Brims, the government understands that the term HG refers to hat girl, which is a euphemism for gun, and the phrase sunstrokes refers to robberies. I don't know if any of this is true. Thus, a member of the gang was telling Little that he needed a gun from Little because he was planning to do armed robberies. With respect to the December 6th robbery, the Little Facebook account contains messages between Little and another member of the gang in which the other member told Little that he was at Little's apartment building and was waiting for Little's signal as to the arrival of the victim. Little and other 5'9" Brims members would sometimes use thinly coded language to talk about these robberies. Example, let me know when the artist is here for a studio session, sis. At other times, Little simply took a screenshot of the direct messages that she had with the intended victims and sent them to other 5'9" Brims gang members committing the robberies so they would know what the intended victims looked like. The robberies are further corroborated by other evidence, including Little's use of one of the victim's credit cards at a deli near her apartment, among other corroborating evidence. Separate and apart from the charged robberies, the social media accounts of Little's co-defendants also show that she participated in other acts of violence. For example, on or about March 23, 2019, Jamar Simmons, aka Show, the Hio 20 of the Bronx lineup, sent the following message to Marquel Simmons. Last night was lit and I fired on like 3 hardbacks. Noni fired on 1. Based on these messages, Jamar Simmons reported that he fired on, which could mean either he shot or stabbed, 3 hardbacks, which is a reference to Crips gang members, and Little fired on 1 Crips gang member. 7 days later, on or about March 30th, 2019, Jamar Simmons told Marquel Simmons that he, Jamar Simmons, was with LA and Noni when he, Jamar Simmons, shot another hardback yesterday at Glenn's. I shot son like 10 times. I did him dirty. Here Jamar Simmons was referring to the stabbing that he and Coleman committed outside of Glenroy Sports Bar in the Bronx. Clear surveillance video shows Jamar Simmons and Coleman stabbing a victim repeatedly directly outside of Glenroy Sports Bar in the early morning hours of March 30th, 2019. Admissions like these from Jamar Simmons, which are corroborated by clear surveillance video, demonstrate that Jamar Simmons was not the one to lie to other 5'9" Brim members about acts of violence that he committed. In other words, there is no reason to think that Jamar Simmons was lying to Marquel Simmons on March 23, 2019, when Jamar Simmons said that I fired on 3 hardbacks, Noni fired on 1. Accordingly, the above demonstrates that Little is a violent and dangerous gang member who participated in numerous armed robberies and other acts of violence. Moreover, the evidence of Little's guilt as to counts 16, 17, 18, and 19 in the form of cooperator testimony, witness testimony, surveillance video, and Little's own words in her Facebook account is overwhelming and favors pretrial detention. Now, it goes on to talk about Little's leadership role in the 5'9" Brims, and it mentions Star Brim here briefly. It says, in addition to the Facebook messages from Little's Facebook account, the government has also obtained search warrants to search the cell phones of several of the defendants. Based on some of those warrants, the government extracted the contents of a cell phone belonging to Willie Evans, aka Mills, who is the godfather of the Gang Street lineup, allegedly, and Sylvester Went, aka Vesta, who held the position of Low 020 in the Bronx lineup. The messages between Little and Evans unequivocally show that Little was the godmother of the gang in 2018 and part of 2019, while Yonette Respass, aka Star Brim, was incarcerated. Now, this continues on for a couple pages. I know y'all want me to read it all, but I'm going to make y'all go to the website and get it. Make sure y'all go to crowntvnews.com. There's news stories on there that we don't cover on the site and all the documents your heart could desire. Also, we got a Dark Low video coming up later. We're going to clear up some things. And CEO Chris, his sentencing is tomorrow. That is Thursday. So stay tuned for that. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for getting me to 20K. It's the Crown Prince. Peace, y'all.